السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كذلك نقص عليك من أنباء ما قد سبق وقد آتيناك من لدنا ذكرا. Surah Taha, Ayah 99. Allah Almighty explained to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the time of Musa alayhi salam and the tyranny of Pharaoh, suffering of Banu Israel. And Allah Almighty revealed encouraging ayat of Surah Taha. O the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because of the da'wah of the deen, you have been going through difficult time. This is the way the Anbiya had to suffer and had to go through difficulties. And then Allah Almighty mentioned Musa alayhi salam, his people, their suffering, as we have learnt already until ayah 98. Allah said, thus, likewise, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we relate to you from the news of what has preceded, and we have certainly given you from us a message, mean the Quran. Likewise, we have related to you the stories, the news of the people and the messengers who had gone before you, like Hud alayhi salam, like Saleh alayhi salam and his people, Nuh alayhi salam, his people, Musa alayhi salam and his people. Likewise is the situation, and we have explained to you the news, the history. Now, وَقَدْ آتَيْنَاكَ مِن لَدُنَّا ذِكْرًا, and we have certainly given you the greatest reminder, a message in form of the Quran. The scholar said, dhikra, it is in fact written as dhikran with tanween at the end. It indicates the greatness of the Quran, the honorable message of the Quran. Man a'rada anhu fa innahu yahmilu yawmal qiyamati wizra. Whoever turns away from it, then indeed he will bear on the day of resurrection a burden, great sin. Dhikr has come to us. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafizun. Dhikr, the greatest reminder, advisor, the Quran. Man a'rada an dhikri, this ayah will come almost at the end of the same surah. Whoever turns away from my reminder, from my remembrance, from the message of Allah, his living, his livelihood, his living in dunya and his living in the grave will become tight and strained. So Allah Almighty said, Man a'rada anhu, whoever turns away from it. فَإِنَّهُ يَحْمِلُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وِزْرًا, he will carry a huge burden on the day of judgment. In dunya, there is a burden. Our shoulders are full of burden and stress. Our society going through the breaking of the social ties, and the majority of the people, they are going through depression, stress, uncertainty, loneliness, and lots of social problems that we are going through. Why? Because we are away from Allah, from the instructions of Allah. The greatest reminder, the Quran, its teachings and its rules we are away, the people are away. Allah said, whoever turns away from its message and its reality will carry a burden on his shoulder on the day of judgment. خالدين فيه وساء لهم يوم القيامة حملا, abiding eternally therein, and evil it is for them on the day of resurrection as a load. Kufr, first turning away from the Quran is kufr, and whoever dies on kufr will remain in kufr and will suffer the punishment of kufr, khalidina fihi, abiding in it therein forever. And it is the worst burden they will have on the day of judgment as to carry the worst. يوم ينفخ في الصور ونحشر المجرمين يومئذ زرقا. The day the horn will be blown, and we will gather the criminals that day blue-eyed. Allah said, Yawm al-Qiyamah. What is Yawm al-Qiyamah? Is the day, Yawma yunfakhu fi sur, when Israfil alayhi salam will blow a cry into the trumpet, and the cry will be awful due to the fear of that blast. People will die. Then another, the people will be resurrected. Allah said, وَنَحْشُرُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ, we shall gather the criminals on that day, zurqa, blue eyes. Why is mentioned blue eyes? Out of fear. Zurqa, it also means blind. There will be so much fear, they will not be able to see around. Sayyida Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the Prophet said, Aisha, people will be gathered without clothes on the day of judgment. First form, when people come out of the graves, they will be in the coffin, whatever coffin is given. Then out of fear of the Qiyamah, people will be gathered and they will be out of clothes, as they are born from mother's stomach of womb. And Aisha said, Allah's Messenger, people will not be seeing each other around. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Aisha, the matter will be greater than that. Who bothers? وَنَحْشُرُ الْمُجْرِمِينَ يَوْمَئِذٍ زُرْقَا. The criminals will be gathered on that day, blue eyes, out of fear, punishment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Ibrahim, مُهْطِعِينَ مُقْنِعِي رُؤُوسِهِمْ, they will be running forward to the cry. You know, the blast voice is coming. Running forward, their necks outstretched, standing up. مُقْنِعِي رُؤُوسِهِمْ, and their heads raised. لَا يَرْتَدُّ إِلَيْهِمْ طَرْفُهُمْ, their eyesight will not turn to them. وَأَفْئِدَتُهُمْ هَوَاء, and their hearts will be empty. Of what empty? The fear will be so much, there will be no thoughts in the heart. Empty, no thoughts. It will be fear everywhere. Allah said, يَتَخَافَتُونَ بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا بِثْتُمْ إِلَّا عَصْرًا, they will murmur among themselves, you remained not but 10 days in the world. They will speak, whispering to each other. Qiyamah has come. Looking at that, how long you stayed in the dunya? They will say, إِلَّا بِثْتُمْ إِلَّا عَشْرًا, only 10 days or 10 nights. This is what they say. But it is the fact. Comparing the pain of the Qiyamah, which is nowhere near that we can realize. You know, if we become a sick for 24 hours, we feel I never had peace in my life. As if the whole my life was in pain. So this is what they say. يَتَخَافُونَ بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا بِسْتُمْ إِلَّا عَشْرًا نَحْنُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ إِذْ يَقُولُ أَمْثَلُهُمْ طَرِيقَةً إِلَّا بِثْتُمْ إِلَّا يَوْمًا. We are most knowing of what they say when the best of them in manner, in wisdom, or speech, or in knowledge will say, you remained not but one day. Allah said, the best person who will speak, perhaps a believer, believers will realize the value of the dunya and the fear of the qiyamah, the standing in front of Allah. 50,000 years day, their day of judgment, and hot, and then fear of the book which will be open. They say, Allah said, the best of them, they will say, not 10 nights, perhaps a day. And perhaps they will say, nothing but a moment. Allah said, when they are told like this, you remember that faith in Akhirah is one of the fundamentals of our Aqidah, one of the fundamentals of our Iman. This is what the Prophet ﷺ preached vigorously, continually, 13 years in Makkah. And Allah said, they will make questions. You are telling us, if you are not believing in the hereafter, you are telling us hereafter will come, and this ground will be leveled. There will be what will happen to what? وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْجِبَالِ فَقُلْ يَنْسِفُهَا رَبِّي نَصْفًا. And they ask you about the mountains. So say, my Lord will blow them away with the blast. They ask you huge mountains, living in Makkah. They are asking, these mighty mountains, you will think they will be leveled. What will happen to them on the day of judgment? Now, due to the technology, what happens to the mountains? They bomb it, or they make a hole underground, and they blast a bomb, and it scatters like little rocks. And the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kun fayakun. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْجِبَالِ. And they ask you about the mountains. Say to them, my Lord will blow them away. Just a single blast. Nasfa, very minor, a single blast, and nothing will remain. فَيَذَرُهَا قَاعًا صَفْصَفًا. And he will leave it, the earth, a level, plain ground. لَا تَرَى فِيهَا عِوَجًا وَلَا أَمْتًا. You will not see therein a depression or an elevation. There are seas, deepest part of the earth where the sea is, and rivers, they are down, and mountains. No depth, no height, everything leveled. And this earth, يَوْمَ تُبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضُ غَيْرَ الْأَرْضِ. Allah will replace this earth to another earth. There will be no crookedness, there is no depth, there is no depression, and there is no elevation. It will be leveled ground. يَوْمَئِذٍ يَتَّبِعُونَ الدَّاعِيَ لَا عِوَجَ لَهُ وَخَشَعَتِ الْأَصْوَاتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ فَلَا تَسْمَعُ إِلَّا حَمْسًا. That day, the human, everyone will follow the call of the caller, with no deviation therefrom, and all voices will be stilled before the most merciful. So you will not hear except a whisper of footsteps. You imagine from Adam alayhi salam until the day of judgment, how many human beings will be on the earth. And they will be growing from the earth like little plants grow, They come out of the earth. And there will be no voice. There will be no shouting. And they will be humble. And they will be rushing to one voice of the caller. وَخَشَعَتِ الْأَصْوَاتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ. How many trillion or plus trillion people will be on that day? But no voice. فَلَا تَسْمَعُ إِلَّا هَمْسًا. Very minor if you can hear the moving of the foots. That's all. يَوْمَئِذٍ لَا تَنْفَعُ الشَّفَاعَةُ إِلَّا مَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ الرَّحْمَنُ وَرَضِيَ لَهُ قَوْلًا. That day, no intercession will benefit except that of one to whom the most merciful has given permission and has accepted his words. We people, human beings, lots of people go through shirk. That is the answer to the time of Jahiliyyah. They believed that all these statues and idols and saints, they died. They can intercede for you in front of Allah. They have ability, they have power, they have a permit. They will do that. But Allah said no. La tanfa'u shafa'. No intercession will benefit at all. Illa man adina lahu rahman. But except for the one, if the most merciful allows for someone who has permission, who has guarantee, whom we try to please as a human being. As we give bayat to a peer and sheikh, lots of sheikh, they take your bayat that if you join my tribe, my group, and you become my follower, I'm your sheikh, I'm your peer, and I will lead you on that day. This is the rubbish. There's no evidence. Man dha alladhi yashfa'u indah illa bi'idhni. Who is there who will intercede in front of Allah? Have you got a power, ability? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will fell in sujood for a long time and pleading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah will say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, irfa' ra'sak, raise your head. Sal tu'ta, ask what you want, you will be given. Rasulullah sallallahu Allah will allow someone to make shafa'ah, or Allah will allow for somebody that is the person you may make shafa'ah, not for everybody. So وَرَضِيَ لَهُ قَوْلًا, and Allah is pleased with his deeds and actions and iman and faith. If Allah is pleased with somebody, وَرَضِيَ لَهُ قَوْلًا, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given permission and has accepted his words. The scholars say وَرَضِيَ لَهُ قَوْلًا mean amal and the aqidah. And perhaps Allah, but all these saints and all these statues and idols you worship, as the people of Makkah used to do, unfortunately the people still doing so. As the Christians, they believe in Isa alayhi salam, and the Muslims believe in Hussein alayhi salam. So the similarly same sort of philosophy, but it all up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us right. We'll continue from ayah 110 tomorrow. Barakallahu feekum. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.